Somebody once said to me, real estate's better than investing in the stock market. And my thoughts were, well, no, it's not. They may have had more experience in the real estate market, so that would be true for them. But essentially, if you're starting out on both of them, you got really the same opportunities, same risks, I think, either way. You can make mistakes on either one of them. There can be ups and downs that you can't predict or even have any influence on. And essentially, you're kind of going in on a real steep learning curve either way. Now, they said to me, well, if the stock market crashes, you can't do nothing about it. I said, well, yeah, okay. But really, if the stock market crashes to the point where it doesn't return, the housing market's not going to matter anyway. Because if all of our infrastructure and everything disappears because our stock market's, every company's at zero, everything's done. Like, nobody's making money, no shipments are coming in, there's no fuel, there's no food, there's no nothing. So those houses you have, the people in them that you're renting to, or the apartments that you're renting, no one's paying the rent. So you're not getting cash at some point either. They're going to run out of money. They're going to stop paying you. There's going to be no police to enforce kicking them out unless you have that ability to do yourself. At some point, it just becomes, really the same as the stock market. The stock market's gone, real estate's gone. And that's an extreme case, right? Like, Rome isn't burning, right? It's not the end of the empire kind of thing. But here's the deal. When I do dividend stocks, yes, there was a learning curve. I had to learn how to trade. I had to learn how to do research. I had to find the stocks. I had to figure out how to do that. It's all kind of relative, right? So if I was to go out in real estate, I have to learn a whole bunch about real estate, buying good property, how to check that property, how to maintain that property. When I owned a home, I maintained it, but I didn't maintain it well. I wasn't really smart enough to know all the things that needed to happen, and realistically, my house could have used more maintenance. So just to take care of my own house, I was less than adequate, maybe adequate, but to do a rental property and then rental agreements and all the legal stuff and yada, 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 it's a big learning curve. Whereas if I go out and do all the research for dividends, it's way more passive. I may make more with real estate, but I can go out and have a ton of investment in dividends. But the more real estate investing I have, the more time it's going to take and more labor intensive it's going to be to show people. And if I hire people to do that, then I'm really starting a business to operate a business, right? I now have to have someone to take care of the property. I have to someone to sell and rent the property. I have to have a lawyer for all that. Whereas I'm buying and selling dividend stocks. The rules are pretty much the same unless I start going outside the country or doing stuff like. But as long as I'm doing basic dividend stocks, it's kind of stays the same. Now I may want to have more opportunity at some point, but that's a different story altogether. But if I'm doing a rental property in my home city and then a rental apartment and all that, and I grow it and I get more and more, it's going to become more labor intensive than just buying more and more stocks, Canadian stocks. Now, the Canadian stocks may or may not be able to meet that requirement. I may get a lower percentage, but the passive income part is totally great. As far as when you're looking at stocks, you're looking at stocks that are going to have long-term value. So you want to look for well-managed companies as well as companies that are going to have that long-term growth and paying out that dividend and hopefully some dividend growth over the years as well. So is there an industry that is going to have that long-term viability and have the growth? Again, that's one of the things where the companies I'm investing in dividend stocks, they're doing the work. Whereas if I do real estate, I feel like I have to be more hands-on with some of that, especially because my knowledge at the beginning is so low, and to understand even who you have to hire to do the other things, you kind of need to have some hands-on to kind of figure that out. If you don't, you're going to make a lot more mistakes. You're going to have other people making mistakes. You're going to put people in the wrong positions. And of course, then there's a whole bunch of legal issues that come into play when you're dealing with tenants and so on and so forth. So it's just one big thing, right? And then of course you start competing with corporations that are doing it and people that have been doing it with tons of experience. They start to win out when vacancies are high. So you got lots of opportunity for people to choose where they want to live, and you might not end up renting to somebody for a long period of time because you haven't set your property up to be in a win situation. Anyways, that's kind of my look on it. Real estate over dividend investing. Well, I'm going to go dividend investing 99 times out of 100. I was going to say 9 out of 10, but really 90% is not even really it. Would I get into real estate investing? Yeah, if my dividend fund became so good, I could live on that and have no problems, and any of the investing I did in real estate wasn't going to take away from that. I wasn't ever going to lose that. I wasn't going to risk it by the real estate. Yes, I would consider doing some real estate and diversifying. That's just me because I like learning new things and I like trying new things. But until I get to that point where my dividends are taken care of and I'm taken care of from my dividends, real estate's really too risky. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Follow along on my investment challenge to see how I'm doing from my $0 to $1 million in 7 years with only $23 a month. See you next time.